to Worth the War. My name is Kimmy. Today we're going to talk about why being realistic about love means never having to settle. Join us as we rethink love and relationship and help people avoid abuse together. We have a few simple goals that we can accomplish in this video. One of them is to be able to bring people around to the idea that being realistic about something doesn't mean that we're settling. The idea today is that if you're realistic about love, that you're kind of giving up the fantasy. You're giving up the huge dream that you've always had about what love and relationship really are. But that's really not what being realistic is. When you look at a piece of art and you see the beauty in it, just because you may understand how it's put together doesn't make it any less beautiful. And it's the same in love. So let's cover a few things that we can be realistic about and see what settling really means and realize that they're not the same thing. When you hear people talk about settling for relationship, generally going to hear it coming from a few simple places. One of them is frankly, they just lost hope. They've tried enough times to find somebody they want to build a life with and it's just come up empty. So they've just lost hope that anybody out there really even exists. Or maybe they've given up because they've lost patience with the process. They've met enough people, they've seen enough things that they believe that they'd be better off to give up than they would be to keep going. Another common reason that people decide to settle when it comes to relationship is an idea of a timetable. It may be an internal timetable they've set for themselves at a certain stage of life they should have found someone, or maybe it's one that's been pushed on them from someone else, but they should step back and question, where is it coming from? Can we really put a timetable on finding a compatible and healthy relationship? I think we can all understand why a timetable that's missed, or abusive relationships in your past, or just a long period of time looking for somebody that's compatible with you and you finding no one, that could lead to a pessimism about the future. It could lead to giving up hope, lowering our standards, settling for anything that comes through the door. But we need to guard against that. And the number one way to do that is by growing a life that we're proud of, doing the work of healing, finding a career, a vocation, hobbies, people, things we enjoy. That's going to take away our pessimism about the future. If we're optimistic about today, where we are, who we are, we can see that there can be a future where we can find a healthy and compatible relationship and not risk this idea of settling that could take us someplace that we just don't want to end up. So I'm not advocating that we settle, that we give up, but I am advocating that we get realistic. Maybe one of the reasons we haven't found compatible and healthy relationships is because we had really unrealistic ideas of what they were. There are some videos that we've already put out about some of the ideas that we get from movies or music or popular culture or social media that I believe mess us up when it comes to finding healthy and lasting love. Instead of giving up, lowering our standards, taking whatever comes down the road, how about we step back and ask ourselves, what can we realistically expect from love? If we're going to get real about love, the first thing that we're going to say is that it's not going to fix all of our problems. Down below, I'm going to actually cite an article where someone says it's going to increase our problems by a third. That's because it's not a bad thing. It just means that when you're in a relationship, there's going to be certain things about that person that bother you or that you don't meet on. And those things aren't going to go away. Not everything is fixed. Some of those things you just learn to live with. So a really healthy relationship is actually going to increase the things that you have to tolerate, the things that you have to deal with. And that's a healthy relationship. Another thing we can expect from real love is it's going to be real work. If we think that bringing someone else into our lives isn't going to consistently create the level of work that's going to inspire us and challenge us, then we're not being realistic about what love is. We also need to know that love is going to require all of our patience and it's going to use it up. We're going to find ourselves holding our tongue, not doing what we want to do, finding ways to be loving even when we don't feel loving. This is going to make us grow up, even if that's the last thing that's on our agenda. If we're going to be realistic about love, we're going to admit to ourselves that the person that we're going to spend our life with is going to be just as imperfect as we are. They're going to be a pain when they're tired sometimes. They're going to be really frustrating, maybe about politics. It could be a lot of different things that we're going to be living with. We're not going to get the perfect person walking through the door. And that's kind of a good thing because we don't really have a perfect person to offer them. We could probably make a list of 40 things that real love is, and maybe someday we'll do that for fun. But we'll end it with this one. Real love is going to challenge your moral convictions. It's going to make you have to work to be faithful to the things that you promise, to lay down the things that you want in the moment, to remember what the future is that you're trying to build. Whatever it is that you believe is good and right to do will be challenged. So when we think about the perfect fairy tale love, very rarely do people tell you, get ready, work on your moral convictions, because they're going to be tested down to the bone. But they will be. That's called being realistic. So no, we don't need to settle. We don't need to lower our standards. standards. What we need to do is back up and get realistic about what love is. Prepare for the real kind of love so that when we see it, we don't miss it because we have some kind of gossamer version of love that nobody can stand up to. On its best day, a fantasy version of love can't hold a candle to what real love is. It's never been about candlelight dinners and French perfume. It's always about rolling your sleeves up, finding each other, working to keep that bridge of communication open, thinking the best in each other, and loving each other for who you actually are, even in the mess of life. I hope you agree that we've been able to show that settling for love is not a good idea. It's not going to take us someplace we want to go. But having unrealistic ideas of love will also be very dangerous. So the answer has to be looking at what love really is so we recognize it when we have it. Not falling asleep to the idea or the fantasy of love, but waking up to what it really is. WorththeWar is here to be an advocate for real, healthy love. We're here to help equip people to have lives that'll be full of a love that actually works in today's culture. We also want to give parents tools to be able to help them to raise children that have realistic ideas of love so that they can avoid being broken like so many are being today. I hope you'll join our community. Please like this video. Comment if you've learned anything. It would mean the world if you would subscribe and join us on this journey. We're having a lot of fun building communities and different platforms, and it would be great to have one here on YouTube that we would know that together we can spare hearts. I hope you have the greatest day, and thank you for taking your time to be here.